for BYU football. Use the hashtag BYUSN. Joining us now live, head volleyball coach of BYU men's volleyball, Christopher McGowan, who has been all things volleyball, especially for the last 6 days. Coach, I know you've had a very busy schedule. Do you get any breaks off the floor? And if so, what are you doing with that time in the summer?
Yeah, taking my girls to swim lessons right now. So going to go spend a little time at Riverside Country Club down by the pool watching them splash around, which is a lot of fun for me.
Chris, are you okay with Spencer calling you Christopher?
You know, he's one of a select group that calls me Christopher. So
I guess you have to be. He probably isn't, but I guess you kind of have to be when I do that. So I apologize if I offended you.
Yeah, it adds a level of sophistication to my name, I think. So I'm good with that.
That's what we were going for. Chris, or Christopher McGowan, joining BYU Sports Nation. We were just talking about Taylor Sander and the dominating performance he has had with Team USA. You know, you hope a guy performs well and represents the university, but he has absolutely shined in the limelight. What communication have you had with Taylor, and what have you liked about what he's been doing with Team USA?
You know, it's interesting. I've emailed him back. We've emailed back and forth a little bit, and I've told him basically just how proud I am of him and the way he's been playing, and more than anything, just the way that he kind of represents our program. You know, he's certainly the most visible representative of BYU probably in the volleyball world right now. And so when people talk about BYU, they're talking about Taylor. And when people are talking about Taylor, they're talking about BYU. And for him to have the kind of start that he's had to the World League season, it's been phenomenal for us and for him. And so, yeah, we just have emailed back and forth a little bit. I've told him just, you know, how proud I am of him and of the way he's carried himself and kind of just what he's been able to do.
Team USA finished 9-3 in pool play, qualified for the Final Six, which is next week in Italy, in FIVB World League play. The surprise is not that Taylor is on Team USA. It's that he's doing so well so early. When did you expect him to kind of get to this level?
You know, I thought that he'd be good initially, you know, and I knew that kind of the guys that were in the gym, he was going to have a really, really good chance of being on the floor for them. But, you know, I maybe it's a knock on me and my vision of what he could become, but I didn't expect that he'd be this good this fast, especially playing against, you know, the kind of competition that they've had in their pool. Bulgaria, you know, is a great team. Serbia is a great team. Russia, of course, the defending World League and Olympic champions. So, I mean, he's playing against some of the highest level guys that you can find in the volleyball world. And just, I guess I'm not shocked exactly, but certainly I didn't expect, I wouldn't have put money on him being at the level that he's at as fast as he's gotten there. And so it's just, again, a tribute to how hard he's worked while he's been here at BYU. And you know, a big tribute to the kind of just, you know, physical gifts and athletic talent that he brings.
Chris McGowan, BYU men's volleyball head coach and AVCA Coach of the Year in 2013. Also the man who led back-to-back MPSF titles for the Cougars. You lose Taylor Sander. You cannot replace a guy like that, but we've talked to a number of the players coming back, and the overwhelming sense is, well, we lose Taylor, but we're still going to be really, really good. Why is it that your program is in such a good place right now that you can lose a guy like Taylor and still expect to compete for another MPSF title?
You know, it's been interesting looking at the rosters of all the other MPSF schools, and virtually all of the big superstars have graduated in the last 2 years, this year being the second year that they kind of ended up getting kicked out of the system. And so a lot of teams are in that reboot mode. There are a few teams that I think are going to, you know, just that are always good and that have got guys in the pipeline that are going to be great. But more than anything, you know, the kind of philosophy that we've always had here at BYU, and in large part it's due to the financial assistance that the church gives people that are attending BYU. You know, they're already subsidizing a big chunk of the tuition, and so it's really affordable. And so what we can do is we can surround our players. We can create a gym full of really, really good players so that we don't go as deep as our starting 6 or 7. We go, 12, 13, 14 deep of really, really good players. And even 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 are, going to be great volleyball players. And they're going to compete hard, and they're going to push each other. And so just the level of play in our gym overall is, I think, really, really good. And certainly Taylor's influence, him pushing those guys for the last 4 years has been a big part of that. But just in general, over the years, we've been able to field really deep squads, and so it's been good for us.
As we speak, Volleyball Magazine on Twitter just announced that their August cover is Taylor Sander, and it says "Rookie on a Roll," and it's him serving at his zenith. Awesome. It looks great. What in the offseason, as you prepare for the next season without Taylor Sander, what kind of preparation do you have your guys work on outside of actually getting coached by you?
Yeah, so obviously with the NC2A regs, I can't even watch them play during the summer, and so it creates a little bit of an interesting deal where you hope that the culture of your program is such that you've instilled in these guys a work ethic where they decide, hey, it doesn't matter if I'm being coached or not coached. I'm going to go become better as a volleyball player. And so we talked to our guys as the season ended about 3 factors we thought were going to make them great. We said, hey, go transform yourself physically. I remember when I was playing, Ethan Watts was a middle blocker on our team. He went on to play in the 96 Olympic Games for the USA. But he was kind of the skinny. He was tall. He had an okay arm. But I remember him being just this kind of skinny, mop-haired kid. And he came back one summer physically transformed, just strong and fast. And, and it was like he just took it upon himself to just, I'm not going to be patient with this. I'm going to go get it. And so we talked to our guys about that. Go transform yourself physically this summer. Here's this great opportunity to make some big gains in the weight room. And so Rob, our assistant coach, has put together a pretty aggressive plan for them in conjunction with our strength staff. And so that's one area. The second area that we've talked to them about is, go commit yourself to the little things that are all about BYU, and just love and embrace all these little things. I was listening to a YouTube presentation by one of the military advisors that had been talking at a graduation speech, and he talked about, hey, one of the most important things you can do every day is make your bed when you get up. And it was just one of these little tiny things, but it was, this thing that was going to be emblematic and indicative of larger behaviors. And so we talked about just, hey, there are all these little things that BYU asks you to do. Come to practice shaved, for example. Seems like a trivial deal, but, that's one of the things that just indicates I'm on board with all there is to be on board on. And if I can do that little thing well, it's probably, indicative of the fact that I will do other things that are bigger well. And so just talked about start training yourself mentally and emotionally to be involved in the little things. And then finally, play, because there's no substitute for playing a lot of volleyball. So I know a lot of our guys are out playing outdoors on the sand a lot. They're trying to get some reps indoors as well. A lot of the incoming freshmen are actually on USA teams that are training this summer, junior teams or youth national teams. And so that's a really, really good thing for them as well. I know Brendan Taylor's little brother is playing with our junior team. Eric Sykes, one of our incoming liberos, is going to be playing on an A2 team. And so these guys are getting a lot of good international USA experience as well.
Chris McGown, BYU men's volleyball head coach, 71-21 record over the past 3 seasons, joining us live right now on the phone. Chris, it certainly helps when you talk about details and recruiting that apparently you figured out the details there, because you have 5 players coming in on the high school Fab 50 released by Volleyball Magazine. What went into an unprecedented recruiting class for BYU volleyball?
Well, I think the first thing was I think there are a number of factors. The first thing was just, the quality of our program over the years has been such that guys want to come to BYU to play because they know they're going to develop as a volleyball player. And then I think two other big factors that have played into this are BYU TV has been this evangelizing entity that, we go down to, I'm talking to a kid from Florida this week at the Junior Olympics, we're talking to him about BYU, and they say, you're the only volleyball that we get to see, men's volleyball. So we watch you guys all the time, and I think that is true for a lot of the country. BYU TV comes on all these stations, and, for a lot of kids, it's the only men's volleyball they get to see, and so they get to see a packed Smithfield house where people are going crazy. They love our announcers. Jerem, I hear that all the time, by the way. Love your announcers.
That's awesome.
So
I love Steve, too.
Yeah, you and Steve are doing a good job. And they see our team playing well, and they see, of course, over the last 3 or 4 years, they've gotten to see Taylor do amazing things. And so that's, I think that's another big factor for us is we are the de facto men's volleyball program for a lot of these kids out there that they get to see on a regular basis. And then finally, just, if you come to BYU on a recruiting trip on an unofficial or something where you get to come to the field house, it's unlike any experience in volleyball anywhere. The crowds it's electric in the air when it gets full and loud like it is most of the time. And the fact that we've been able to put together some nice conference championship runs, it just creates this wonderful environment. So I think kids coming in and they see that and they get exposed to BYU TV and they know the quality of our program. And then the other thing that's been interesting to me is, you hear a lot about, the youth of today, they're, whatever, they're, this lost generation. I'm finding exactly the opposite. The kids, for the most part, the kids that we're recruiting, even the ones that aren't members of the LDS faith, are excited about the atmosphere at BYU. They want to be great people. They want to be great volleyball players. They want to be great students. And so the idea that there's this honor code where you're held to a certain standard and that everybody on your team is kind of on board with, the norms of school and of what the program is about and what they're about as student athletes. A lot of kids are excited about that, and it isn't a deterrent. It's actually a plus. They want to be part of that environment, and so it's fun to see and to talk to kids from all over the country that say, you know what, I don't care about that other stuff. It would be easy for me to live a BYU lifestyle because I want to be great, and so that's been pretty fun to see too.
Chris McGown, BYU head volleyball coach, with us on BYU Sports Nation. Coach, great to have you with us. Congratulations on the success that BYU volleyball has had and the future success that is certainly lined up with some recruiting and excellence in the details. And please, for your sake, enjoy some pool time today.
All right, thanks. I'll be sure to do that.